Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. When we got to Gamescom, our first order of business was to visit the Microsoft stand. We were ushered in to the Starfield presentation, where we saw the first, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes of the game in a kind of condensed format. Directly after that, we spoke to Phil Spencer and Todd Howard. But let's talk Starfield first. I'm not sure whether this presentation has been made public yet. Possibly it would do by the time you see this. There have been leaks from it, though. One thing which, well, first of all, we essentially saw the first section of the game. But one thing that was a bit odd, and we can actually officially break embargo here with the blessing of Todd Howard. There's been something going on with Starfield capture, right? Which is
So every time they've shown Starfield, obviously, there's been this thing where the footage doesn't look smooth. We've talked about this before. The trailers have a lot of jitter. And we're like, is there performance problems? The answer is no. That is a problem with the trailers. The actual game does not have these problems.
And Todd noticed it as well.
Todd also noticed it. So
So at this point, Starfield review code has gone out. It is under NDA, and it still will be under NDA by the time you watch this. But we received a special, I don't know, it's the equivalent of a papal dispensation.
That's right.
From Todd Howard.
We were given a waiver for this one issue.
Yeah, it basically doesn't look as jerky as it's looked in all of the footage so far. Certainly, well, we can certainly vouch for the intro mission because we've played that through, both of us, and we both concur that it doesn't really look, well, it is a capture of the game, right? But the motion isn't in the capture.
Yeah, and
it should be much smoother than that.
Yeah, and this can arise from a lot of things, like recording at mismatched frame rate and frequency of the recording monitor itself. It can also happen from using things like NV Share. There's a lot of
editing issues.
I think that was Xbox footage, by the way. I'm not sure, but it's certainly been Xbox before, we think. Possibly.
Hard to tell. It was
DRS.
Really, the one thing that was very high fidelity, though. Like I hadn't seen the beginning. I hadn't seen the beginning of the game yet in any capacity, and I also got some DMs after the fact from people who had also seen it, other journalists, and they were saying that looked quite a bit better than the footage I'd seen before of Starfield. The beginning of the game definitely has a lot of really great material and geometric quality there that you definitely did not see in anything like Skyrim or Fallout 4. It's quite another level.
That is quite true.
Yeah, it looks really impressive. Some really nice lighting, really high density stuff going on there. And the characters are interesting. That's kind of like the weaker element I think we've discussed in the past. But in terms of the actual content, first of all, we're in the sort of mining area. So we had some great materials work on the rocks and stuff, which is...
So Starfield's, it's Red Faction. It starts, the whole thing happens when starting underground in that mine and getting that introduction. Except for rather than starting a revolution, they find an artifact.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit of 2001: A Space Odyssey there, and you're like,
Mass Effect, Mass Effect.
Mass Effect as well.
One thing I actually really liked in terms of graphics, I would say Fallout 4 definitely didn't do this, and this is a problem with a lot of games in general, but I think the current gen focus of it only has allowed them to do this, where a lot of the lights are shadow casting. And that's something you definitely didn't see in the previous games necessarily always. And one of the ones I really like is when they do turn on their helmet lamps inside the helmets when they put them on, they actually have like the light overhead is shadow casting, so you get these cool lines underneath their noses and chins and stuff like that.
My favorite thing. It's lines under the chins and noses.
Big fan. I mean, that's why you have the soul patch, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. No, actually, I did that because there's the other YouTuber, Paul's Hardware. Look, it's like we have to stay in sync. Yeah. And maybe I am Paul as well.
I don't know. We didn't see.
I've never been in the same place as Paul.
Character creator. We saw the character creator.
Yeah.
They didn't make Todd Howard in it.
No, they did not.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
I've made Bennett out of Commando.
Embargo, Rich.
I'm just saying my personal preferences. It's nothing about the game.
If I were to make a character, I might name him Jean Matrix.
Okay. You may have. You never know.
I don't know. Can neither confirm nor deny.
Anything else in the presentation you want to talk about?
The gunplay looked good.
Yeah.
Right? Like the actual combat, the action, grabbing the weapons, just the weapon models, the animation work, the way enemies react to the shots, it actually looks good, right?
Yeah, it's not your Skyrim jank. I mean, Fallout 4 already moved a bit forward there, I would say, but it wasn't perfect, but there was a lot of good enemy interaction here. And I think just in general, it just looked so much more polished than any of their games in the past. And I imagine when you play the game itself, it's so large and so, varied that you're going to find obviously issues in certain aspects of it, but it looks, based upon the presentation, like the most polished thing they've ever
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Alex is in no danger of breaking the embargo because you haven't played it
You've
yet.
not played it, so you can speak freely.
I've been busy doing so many other things. But yeah, so that was all the good things. Obviously, beyond that like weird frame reproduction issue from the capture, whatever that was, it did look smooth. So and whatever it was playing on, I don't know what it was on. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. It looked. Well, I better not say actually, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't Xbox. Let's put it that way.
I suspect it was.
Yeah.
But then what happened after the Starfield stuff is they showed us a trailer for
Fallout, the TV show,
the TV show.
which they're not actually going to release, I don't think.
It's a teaser trailer.
It was a teaser trailer that was exclusive.
Oh right, it was exclusive.
Yeah.
Forgot about. No, you're right. That's interesting. It actually, I thought it looked really good.
Yeah.
I like the visual designs they're going for.
Look like
The
Fallout
music,
to me.
the sound. Oh, we didn't mention the music and the sound, by the way.
Oh yeah, that was the
music
best part of
is-
Starfield's
so
presentation.
Enon
almost.
Zor,
Yeah.
the composer of Crysis, by the way, he did the music for Starfield. I mean, you've heard it in trailers, but it's
Yeah,
pristine. It's so good for this sort of spacey atmosphere.
it is. It's great. Actually, it's super tone setting because they had it going right before the presentation started in the background, and they just had like the Starfield logo like constantly refreshing itself in a really cool way. The game's interface is actually probably the thing that I like the most over their previous entries.
It looks so much better.
Yeah, I kind of, I have like I like that kind of janky Oblivion interface in some ways because it's like so maximalist, but this is more minimalist and, it looks nice.
I mean, the graphic design on Starfield is top tier. We see it in all the products they're selling around it, but just like all those clean lines and just the subtle use of color and shading, and it's really, really slick. And they showed it all in the demo.
Yeah, and I like the menu, by the way.
Yeah.
Hashtag just saying.
The main menu.
yeah. I do like the movement.
How did that happen?
I have no idea.
People are
It's just some blue check. I don't know.
Alex, be careful.
Oh my word! Anything more to say about the presentation? It was, people were happy with it. I think it looked great.
We'll have a lot more to say about this game soon.
No.
I think it's fair to say because it is a BGS game and it was just, highlights of the first bit. You've still seen nothing. I mean, the presentation we saw at E3 was a lot more revealing. I think of the wider scope of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just hoping at this point that they did actually release that video because otherwise it's going to be lots and lots of us
Just talking about
it.
random stuff. Who knows? Maybe they didn't.
Here's the thing, right? When you're at Gamescom, you're completely disconnected from the internet, and basically you end up seeing far less than you guys at home would, because we're just wandering about, meeting people,
Wondering about.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really, really interesting. And then we finished up. We were given some kind of food stuff, space age food stuff.
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
the Y
Huel-
food.
The Y food. That's it. The Huel substitute.
Yeah, it was Starfield branded Y food.
Yeah, which
Pretty good, like cinnamon crunch or cinnamon stardust. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
I don't know.
as an aside, Alex took a sip of it and then literally had to find a bin.
I'm not into the sweet stuff.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I managed 3/4 of it.
That's a very Alex move. That's why we love
It
you.
was literally the way you actually. We left the auditorium and the first order of business was finding a bin.
The show now.
He was hoping it tasted like actual stardust.
Yeah, I know. Whatever that is.
Wow. Okay.
Whatever that is. But anyway, after
Yeah,
that, though,
after that, basically we had a quick chat with Phil Spencer and
not that quick. It was a pretty good time.
yeah, okay.
Todd, too, was there.
Yeah, we had
Don't forget about Todd.
we had a slice of time to just generally have a chat with Phil Spencer. Nothing on the record or interview.
That's right. We can't nothing to talk about, but it was.
Well, we can talk about what we were talking about, which was, reactions to Starfield, and we talked about the stuff in terms of the presentation.
That's true. Yep.
We also had a good talk about preservation. I don't think it's a secret to say that, we've had issues with the closure of the Xbox 360 marketplace, and I think there's, an effort to find a more holistic solution to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Phil
what it sounded like.
is acutely aware of these issues, so I will say that much. And yeah, they do seem to be taking it more seriously than I thought.
Yeah, and
would say.
Phil in other interviews has talked about just he's a big fan of game preservation himself anyway. So it's no surprise that he wants to do something there. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
and I think can we show the photo in the car park?
We should.
Here's the
Here it is.
It will be a complete reversal of the size order
Yeah.
versus this
right.
particular footage.
Exactly.
Where I've been given the smallest chair because I'm the tallest person. So yeah, it's just kind of bizarre. But yeah, that was a really, really great start to Gamescom. I mean, how do you top that?
That was a great way to
That
start.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Just
Really-
two humble, genuinely interesting men to talk to. It's great. Yeah.
They're just
Absolutely.
ordinary men.
Just innocent
Just
men.
innocent men.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's where we are.
Yeah, I think that's all we got to say about Starfield. And obviously, we'll try and get our content to you as quickly as possible after the embargo. But I think it's fair to say that you can't go in on half measures with that. It's got to be
It's got to be right.
done. You know, if it's late, it's late.
That's right. There's a lot to cover.
We'll tweet out some general impressions, I guess, if we're not there.
We
on
have
the
to,
embargo.
yeah. We'll
Yeah.
see
I will
that
try
way.
my best to get the main video done, but we're all going to be doing videos, right?
Yeah, we're all doing everything. Yeah.
Lots of videos, lots of Starfield.